Hello, Dense MC here with another Charlie's Angels summary and review. Broadcast on October 5th, 1977, Angel Flight is the 6th episode of the 2nd season. When Sabrina's old college friend, who is a flight stewardess teacher, is being harassed in a bizarre fashion, the Angels investigate. Soon, Kelly and Chris go undercover as new stewardesses and find multiple suspects at the airline. When training concludes on an experimental plane, it may be up to Kelly to land it. This episode features Fawn Harriman as Sabrina's old friend Angela, Robert Gentry as ex-boyfriend pilot Gene Knox, Ben Hayes as Captain Glover, and Philip Roth as the creepy Superintendent Eddie. Also in this episode is Lisa Moore as hostile stewardess Mei Ling Johnson, Ralph Byers as male steward Culver, and Lee Travis as the very tall stewardess Paula. Interesting scene of the episode is at the very beginning where Angela's ex-boyfriend is testing out the automatic landing system. From the audience point of view, this is a real plane. He's distracted from the controls by Angela running out, and the view screen shows them diving at the runway. Of course, this was just a simulation, as the announcement dryly states at the end of the scene. Interesting quote of the episode comes from a conversation with Angela about Sabrina's college major. Sabrina says, "Angie, I'll be glad to leave you alone if you don't want my help, but I think you do." Angela responds with, "As I recall in college, you majored in political science, not mind reading." This is a nice bit of continuity from the first season's Angels on a String, where she is a longtime fan of Polish political author Wyszynski. Angela has been getting numerous vaguely threatening phone calls and black roses in personal places before going to old college friend Sabrina for help. She overreacts every time a black rose pops up, almost as if it means something personally frightening to her, but she only speculates that it symbolizes death. Black roses do symbolize death, but also many other things such as rebirth, but none of that is explored. The voice she hears over the phone sounds, to her, altered in some way, so she can't tell whether it's a man or a woman. Sounds pretty male to me, but I don't know what the audio post-production had in mind for this originally. Sabrina decides to stay on guard in Angela's apartment, but it's seemingly no use. Angela finds a new black rose deposited while she was asleep. Sabrina further brings in a phone recorder, but when the mystery caller rings, Angela freezes up and can't hit the record button. Her overreacting and lack of producing evidence is awfully suspicious, but I'm not sure if that was the intention of the episode's writer. In fact, the show is full of suspicious characters, almost all of them red herrings. Gene, the ex-boyfriend, really wants to get back with disinterested Angela, but is oddly mean to Paula, who is actually interested in him. Paula, meanwhile, lied about her height to become a stewardess. Is that all she's lying about? Stewardess Mei Ling is constantly hostile. Granted, she is the focus of two racist comments, but she doesn't take Chris's attempt at friendship. This goes nowhere, by the way, and her backstory is a footnote told by Charlie at the end. Eddie, the superintendent of the stewardess's dorm, is positively creepy and becomes hostile when his friendliness to a stewardess having car trouble is rebuffed. This stewardess is killed by a karate chop when she gets her repaired car back. A black rose is at the murder scene, which to me is the only time Angela should be taking any of this as frightening, but it's not even happening to her. I would think the police would get involved at this point and shut everything down, but nope. We finally get the plot delivered by phone now that she is more inclined to hide things from the Angels. She is given a gun, some knockout drug to give to the pilot, and taped instructions to hijack the plane with the experimental landing system during a test flight. In a surprise twist, the male steward, whose only previous screen time included one of the racist stereotype comments aimed at Mei Ling, knocks out the flight engineer. Now it's time for reluctant Angela to start her end of the plan, but in a surprise twist, the captain reminds her that the instructions specified to lock the cockpit door. When Gene isn't drugged out fast enough, the captain karate chops him and Angela, who proceeds to fumble the gun and shoots him in the gut. I don't think giving a loaded gun to an unwilling accomplice is smart, but whatever. Now, no one is flying the plane and the cockpit is locked. On board as trainee stewardesses, Chris and Kelly make short work of the armed male steward, but can't get the cockpit door open. In a move that surprised no one, Mei Ling is able to kung fu kick the door open. Not beating those stereotypes there, lady. Kelly is able to land the jet with instructions from the tower. She makes it look easy, but a large passenger jet has literally 100 controls and readouts, so even with help it is an accomplishment. The captain's goal was to land the plane in Peru for an interested buyer for the new automated landing system. While Jean did mention the system was worth millions, the captain himself said it was also eventually to be in every passenger plane. So, I guess his plan needed to be fast before that happened, but he was seemingly harassing Angela for some time. And why was scaring Angela into working for him necessary when the male steward could have drugged Jean's coffee instead? Why did he kill that random stewardess when that could have brought more unwanted attention? This is a rare episode where the angels are clueless all the way to the end, and so are the viewers, but not in a good way. This episode kind of pissed me off. It had so much potential from such an interesting plot, but that's squandered due to bad writing and directing. The only two normal characters who barely have screen time and no obvious motives are the culprits. The angels just don't do anything in the episode that stands out, including investigating. IMDb gave this episode a 7.2 out of 10, and I can't rate it that high. As hard it is for me to say, the goofy previous episode, Pretty Angels All in a Row, at least had the Charlie's Angels characteristic charm. This one doesn't. That's why I can't rate it higher than that episode, so this one gets a 6.9 out of 10, just below average. Good morning, Charlie.